PushLiving.com presents the Wheelchair Accessible Lifestyle Podcast, pushing the boundaries of disability-inclusive design, travel, and lifestyle. Here, you'll find stories of triumph, courage, and clarity. You'll discover you're not alone and hear from inspirational guests from the disability community and beyond. You'll get fresh reviews of the best inclusive travel locations and fabulous products to help make your life more functional, healthy, and fun. We will intrigue, enlighten, and encourage you to live your best life on wheels. Whether you're a wheelchair entrepreneur, a stay-at-home mom or dad, or newly disabled, you will love the advice and ideas we share to help you learn, grow, and push your own boundaries. Now, let's roll.
Good afternoon, everyone at Push Living. This is Deborah Davis, your host for the Push Living podcast. Today, I am thrilled to welcome a wonderful lady. She's got some insight you're never going to hear before. We've never heard before. So I'm really excited to welcome her today. Her name is Jennifer, and she is a singer, an actress, an advocate, and we're going to get into that a little bit more. But right now, she's working in something, an arena that is obviously very important to all of us. It's political consulting and fundraising. She's actually helping to elect more women of color, ethnicities, and LGBTQ. So welcome, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you, Deborah?
I'm wonderful. So I'm coming from Florida. I have the sun glaring in my eyes because it's 5 o'clock. Where are you coming from?
Long Beach, California.
Is that where you're from originally?
Yes. Yeah,
okay.
I love it here. It's sunny. It's nice and sunny here too. But you know, the California weather is finicky. We jokingly say that we don't have 4 seasons because we don't experience weather change, but I feel like we go through 4 seasons in one day.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's too cool. So have you traveled around the country at all?
I went to Europe. I got the opportunity to go to Europe before the summer before COVID. But that was the first time in a really long time that I've left the country. But I do love traveling. We went to Maui last summer, so that was great. And I'm hoping to go back next spring.
So I guess the first thing we all want to know is, other than where you've traveled, because we're definitely going to get into that more. But you know, we're obviously a wheelchair lifestyle podcast. So you're in a wheelchair. I'm in a wheelchair. Tell us a little bit about how you became one of the lifestyle gals, I guess.
I was born with a disability called Arthrogryposis, and we call it AMC for short. The disability is the reason why I use a wheelchair full time. And I have limited range of motion in all 4 of my limbs, and some of my joints are fused, like my ankles and my wrists.
Okay.
So I do need and have a caregiver, and lots of friends and family who are really good at helping me out and gracious enough with their time and energy.
All righty. So let's go back a little, shall we? Have you always been from Long Beach? What is your heritage? I noticed all the interesting artwork in the back there.
Oh, that's just because I like macrame. But my father is from Guam, and my mother is half Chinese and half Black. Okay,
so you speak Chinese?
No, I speak English only.
Oh, how did that happen? Your mom speaks Chinese.
No, my mom doesn't.
Oh, your dad.
No. I think my grandma speaks Chinese.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think my grandparents were the last in our line to speak their native tongue.
Were they around you when you grew up?
Yes, but they spoke English.
Okay.
My mother's family came from New York. When they came from China, came from New York, and my grandpa was originally from New York, and my dad's family came from Guam.
So you grew up in Florida, in Long Beach, California.
I did.
Okay.
I have a Long Beach family. My parents went to Poly, which is a really popular school out here. And Long Beach is the place that I consider home. I feel like it's the only place that I really know like the back of my hand.
For some reason, I thought you said that you were raised in the military. Where did I read that?
Oh, yes. My father was in the Airforce, and we moved around a lot. We lived in Germany for a while. And then at the bases in Riverside, I was actually born at March Air Force Base. And we moved quite a bit until I was about 5. So it wasn't that many years of my life.
Oh, it wasn't that bad. So it was until you were 5. So you were pretty stable after 5.
Yes.
Because I was going to ask you, like, how do you deal with having a disability from birth and then having to move so much? I mean, integrating into new schools, new classrooms, and how did that all work for you as a child?
I don't really remember, but I think for my parents, it was really helpful that my maternal grandmother was a nurse. So she would be really resourceful in finding programs and services for me as a child, wherever my parents moved to or had to move to because of the military.
So she
So
went
I
with
don't
you?
really
Your
remember.
maternal grandmother traveled with you?
No, but she would communicate, with my
Okay.
mom. There's a specialty hospital here, or this therapist there, and things like that. But I really didn't start school until we came back stateside. So
Okay. So that's probably, I guess I'm thinking you probably learned your advocacy from your grandma. She
yes,
sounds like an awesome. Is she
absolutely.
still with us?
No, she's not, but I carry her in my heart and
I
wherever I
can see
go.
that. Aw.
Yeah.
Hello, Grandma. Send out a nice message to her today. We
Yeah.
can do this, and this is a beautiful story, actually. I really like that. That's nice. They always say that, you were raised by a tribe, and when you all work together, everybody benefits, especially people who may need a little help at times. And now you're helping others. So how did you go about becoming a person who has a job in political consulting, fundraising, and helping people get elected?
My career path is very unique. Um,
Yeah, because it says you're a
I
singer, and now an
Yes,
actress, and now you're.
yeah. So about 15, 16 years ago, I auditioned for a show at the Disneyland Resort called Aladdin, a Musical Spectacular.
Okay, hold
And
on a minute. You said 15 or 16 years ago. Do you mind if I ask how old you are?
I'm 41.
Oh, okay. Okay. So you look very young. So I was
Thank
wondering, oh,
you.
15, 16 years ago,
Thank
how old were
you.
you? 16? Go ahead.
um,
So you're
so
41, and so you're like in your 30s.
I was in my 20s.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were in your 20s when you did that. Okay.
I was cast, and I was and still am the first person in a wheelchair to perform on any Disney stage in the world. So I stayed with that cast at Disney for 13 years, and we closed in 2016. And just prior to the show closing, I became a commissioner for my city, a
Okay.
building
That's how.
commissioner, and I got really involved. In local government that way. And when the show went down, I volunteered for my local councilwoman, and she ended up hiring me. So then that started my political career. I was her special projects manager for the entire time until she got elected and is now in state senate. And after that, I started working for a, a a boutique firm that does political consulting and fundraising for people who are running for local office.
That's fantastic. So you did the Disney thing. I need to rewind because everything you said is so fascinating. I have so many questions. But how did you get? Okay, so you're in California, so I'm assuming it's Disney California
Mm-hmm.
because we have Disney in Florida too. So I'm picturing it.
Yeah.
So in Disney California, you apply to be an actress singer in this show, and they accepted you.
Yes. I
So,
auditioned.
how did you become a singer and an actress to begin with? I mean, obviously, if you get in a Disney production, you must be really good. So we
It
missed a
just,
whole bunch of stuff here.
yeah, we missed a whole bunch of stuff. I always
A whole
enjoyed
bunch.
doing theater when I was a kid. I loved music. I come from a musical family. My stepmom was a jazz musician, and she was an amazing jazz musician at that.
Oh wow.
And I did community theater growing up. So
Okay.
um,
So you were
I've
already a
always had a
pro.
passion. Yeah.
Okay, so you did that, and you like to sing and dance and stuff, and then you applied. You just got like a casting call, and you went in, and they took you, whatever the word is, cast
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
And the show ran for how many years until
13
2016?
years.
You
13
were
years.
13 years doing that show
Yeah. Yeah. We did
every day, or
4 shows a day between 4 to 5 days a week.
you
Mhm.
must have needed some help.
It was a great experience. Actually, to this day, the best experience of my life. And I
My
met some really
God.
amazing people. And we are all still in contact. Like, our friendship doesn't skip a beat, no matter the distance or the time in between. We get to see each other. So
I guess my question was like, as a person with a disability, I know that that would really tire me out. especially if you have to do every single day, like 4 times in a row, you have to be on. There's certain times where, your blood, you know what I mean? So when I say you must need a lot of help, I didn't mean that in a negative way. I meant, let's just be real.
Oh yeah, I
How do you
did.
manage
Yeah.
that?
Well, I think, me starting to work at Disney was like any relationship, getting to know each other. It was me getting to know them as a business, because most performers don't work for corporations. They work for theaters and things like
Yeah.
that. So it was very much what do you need and how can we help you? And it was a lot it was reliant on me speaking up for myself. So, for the quick changes, we all had customers. Of course, my customers had to help me a little bit, or a lot more than the other cast members.
Okay.
But and then I also had a bench that I could get out on and lay down on whenever I needed to. And we have athletic trainers, so if I need to elevate or ice my feet because I do get hypertension, they were there. And they
So you
accommodated.
had the people from the Disney customers who were helping you with that, because you did mention earlier that you had your own full-time care. So were those people
Yeah.
there with you as well?
I didn't get full-time care until my stepmom passed away in 2021. Or 22. It was right before the pandemic, right before the first lockdown.
Okay, because your
So
stepmom helped you.
yeah, up until that, up until my
Wow.
stepmom was diagnosed with metastatic breast cancer, um, she was my caregiver. We always lived close or with each
Oh,
other,
what a
and
wonderful. You had some beautiful women in your life,
I
girl.
do have some really strong women.
Yeah, and I can see that energy in you. You're very supportive of other women.
Thank you, thank
That's
you.
because you were given a great
Mhm.
opportunity in life by women, and not everybody has that opportunity, or that experience. So
Yeah, I feel like we need to lift each other up, women.
absolutely, more so, right?
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, so I think I got the Disney part down. So you left Disney in 2016, but you had already run for commissioner of your local thing, and then you got hired to work for one of the people
Yeah, I
there.
volunteered first,
Okay.
for maybe 6 months. I volunteered in my councilwoman's office, and then I was hired.
So
Um,
how did it feel, like, with 16, working so many years at Disney and such an amazing experience, having to make that transition, and what made you think to volunteer? Like, isn't that like such a painful thing to have to experience? How did you deal with that change?
I don't think volunteering is painful, especially when
No,
you're.
I mean the change from
Oh,
Disney, having
oh
to
yeah, I
lose that.
definitely went through an identity crisis.
That's what I'm wondering.
Like
Yeah.
thoughts of, am I still a singer? Am I still a performer? And the answer is yes. Um, Nobody is ever one thing in their life. And
I love
uh,
that.
yeah, and
You are what you want to be, right?
exactly, you are what you want to be.
I love that.
And I think that's when I really learned that I had more than one passion in life.
Okay. Ah,
Longest
wow.
For the longest time, it still is my passion. Performing and singing and the arts will always be my first love. But I'm also really passionate about making my community better for everybody that lives here. Um, and that's when I really fell in love with local government and how it operates and how it works, and how we can empower other residents to help themselves find services and programs that help their life be more equitable in whatever way, and help our city just be a better place for everyone that lives here.
So now you're doing it but the new company is more national, right? Or no?
This is local still,
Oh,
but
it is.
yeah,
Okay.
but we elect good candidates who will create new policies for, the residents that they represent, whether it be on school board, city council, county supervisor, mayors. The list goes on and on. Last cycle at where I work now, Progressive Solutions Consulting. I think 9 out of 10 of our clients won. So my boss has a really good track record of winning.
Wow, in a local
And she knows,
campaign.
yeah, and she knows what she's doing, and that's I learn something new every day.
You are so
Um,
blessed. I hate to say this, but I'm wondering, I've seen, in the disability community, you said something that's so powerful. You said, I have found a new passion. And it's like some people never find their first passion, Jennifer. You had two. And I'm wondering, my thought was, and listen, I mean, don't cancel me if I say the wrong thing. We're going to talk about cancel culture later, but I wasn't born with a disability, and I know that it's been hard for me to find my passion, and I've heard that in the disability community. You were born that way, so maybe finding your passion may have been easier because you just were bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, oh, this is how I live, and it's easy for me just to be who I am, and you discovered this great thing about yourself,
I know no other life. All I know is
yeah. But then wait a minute, but then you found another one. And I mean, what even made you think to go? I mean, this is a great thing. I'd really encourage people to do what you're doing is get involved with their local government because that's powerful stuff. And I want to hear a little bit more about that. But how did you even think to do that, to start that? Because I've never been told, hey, why don't you volunteer your local commissioner or your councilwoman's office? What made you think to do that?
I think it started as being a commissioner and hearing.
But what made you think? What made you want to be a commissioner?
The mayor appointed me. I got.
Oh gosh, you mean a commissioner on the something like on? Okay, I got it.
Yeah,
not an elected commissioner.
Yeah, appointed volunteer position.
Got it.
You're appointed by the mayor, so I was referred and then called by the mayor to serve, and I did proudly. And I think the thing that really shifted my mindset was the residents coming in and sharing with us the problems they experience in different parts of our city. Long Beach is very big. It's 55 square miles, and we have about 500,000 residents that live here. So it's a pretty big city.
I think I want to move there now.
Yeah.
It sounds great. Or we should all make our cities like yours.
Yeah. So I think that's what really started it. And I've always been interested in politics.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as a newbie, it was a great place for me to start.
Okay, so you are you got it all down, girl. You got passion down. You got helping your community to be a better place for everyone, representing women and ethnicities, people with different ethnicities, I'm assuming with disabilities, to get elected into public office, as well as LGBTQ, right? Yeah. Okay, so let's talk about that a little bit. Absolutely wonderful platform, by the way. I love it. And I can imagine how inspiring it must be to go to work every day. And congratulations on your commissioner councilwoman getting elected to Senate. Do we get to give her a shout out or no?
Yes, Senator Lena Gonzalez, California Senate District 33. Yeah, she's doing some really great things.
Yeah, and I think you're next, young lady. Yeah.
Oh, no, we'll see.
Yeah. So, okay, so now you do that full time. Actually, full time. So what do you think about, okay. I was having a discussion the other day with somebody about this. Most progressives and most people, I think most people in our society are trying to learn more and be more accepting of differences. Whether you're Jewish or Muslim or Black or Chinese or disabled or, trans, whatever it is, we're all trying to understand. But in the process of being very accepting, sometimes a lot of times people make mistakes. They say the wrong word. They ask questions that are ignorant. And you know this. I'm sure people at Disney probably walked up to you and said things that were ignorant about your disability. It happens to me pretty much every day. I mean, honestly, every day. And rather than get angry about it and be like, oh my God, that's so stupid, or, why would you ask me that? I'm not brave just to be on a dating site or whatever, boy, I can't believe how you put yourself out there. Like, what do you mean how I put myself out there? I was like, is that like supposed to win an award because I'm out there? Like, hello. So how do you feel about that? Because there is some really tough backlash out there. And I know they refer to it as cancel culture. Give me your thoughts on how to handle those type of issues for anybody, and then your thoughts in general about how you feel about cancel culture and how we can fix this whole thing, because it feels like some defensiveness going on. Or
I think cancel culture as a whole is unhealthy and somewhat toxic.
And what was the second word you said?
Unhealthy and somewhat toxic. Like, it's a very toxic environment to put ourselves in, whether we're being canceled or the ones doing the canceling. I don't think people are ever going to learn what is right or appropriate if we don't make mistakes. Granted, there are people out there who are canceled because they deserve every part of that cancellation.
It was
But
intentionally
yes,
hateful.
it's
Yeah.
always repetitive and
And they're
always,
not sorry. Yeah.
yeah. But I think, canceling somebody after one incident is not being very welcoming. When I feel like as a community, our community, the disability community, as a community that is still, 30 some odd years after the ADA has been passed, still fighting to be seen as equals, and still fighting and demanding equitable access to basic needs. I think it should be a part of us to be, to teach people. And I know it's a hard thing to carry and a hard thing to do, but if we don't teach them, who's gonna?
I think that's so beautifully said, and teach them in a way that is,
Compassionate,
loving and
kind,
compassionate,
yes.
and they don't mean to be inexperienced
No.
or uneducated. They
Mhm.
just don't know any better,
Mhm.
So thank you for that. That was just absolutely stunning. Um, okay, so you've got this new career, this new passion, which obviously I can't see you doing anything differently. What's next for Jennifer?
You know, I don't know. I'm gonna be 42 in the winter coming up, and I think I'm very happy where I'm at right now. And I really enjoy my job and the people that I work with and the people that I get to meet through my job and the opportunities that I get through my job. So I think I'm content right now. I'm good here. I feel like there's still so much more for me to learn, and I love learning. So I'm gonna.
So what are some of your goals right now? Are you 42? Are you single, married?
I'm single. I'm very happily single. I'm
Oh,
dating
really?
myself.
Happily single.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm dating myself right now. I'm also in school. So, I
What are you
mean,
going to school for?
I'm studying communications.
Okay, well, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
So I just
Gosh,
started going to school right
you are
before the pandemic.
incredible. You're absolutely incredible. So, what are we working on, Jennifer? Like, if you had to say, these are the things that I need to work on, let's be real together because we all got them. What are some of the things that you want to work on and that you need help with and that you would like to, that you want to study more or, explore more as a person?
I just always want to work on being the best version of myself as possible. Um, I think there's always room in each of us to be a better person
Yeah.
and to handle things differently. Um, I also want to focus more on how I think about self care and how I take care of myself. A lot of people think self care is like sleeping in or going to the spa or getting your nails done or getting a massage or whatever. But, my job is very busy. It's very one thing to the next in a minute. And I think self care looks like making sure that my home is operating and that I'm not missing bills and that I'm eating well, I'm getting good sleep, and I'm making time for the people in my life, who lift me up and allow me to lift them up as well.
Okay, so we talked about that's again beautifully said. Um, it's not about being a better person, of course, is very great in general, and that takes a lot of self-reflection, right? Um, but eating well and getting your bills paid on time, that's more of like commitment, focus, right? Discipline.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I 100% feel you on that one. Can you
Mm-hmm.
give us some tricks of the trade that you've learned or anything that you can advise? Because I know that that's always a struggle for me too, is staying focused and disciplined on my goals.
I live by my calendar.
Okay.
I love post-it notes. Sometimes they're
That's a secret.
everywhere. Yeah, my secret is post-it notes.
Oh my God. I don't
I
have
have
any, no
post-it notes
wonder.
and cell phone alarms and my calendar.
Uh-huh. Okay, so what do you have, just a Google Calendar or
Yeah, just
Outlook?
email calendar.
A regular email calendar. So
Regular email calendar, and
you
it's
do the
free.
block? do the block scheduling? Is that what you believe in?
Blocks. Mm-hmm.
I always do that too, but I just haven't rescheduled the block, Jennifer. How do you do
Well,
that?
sometimes you have to reschedule to make time for yourself.
Reschedule.
Sometimes
Wow.
it's very necessary. Just because
Yeah.
it's on your calendar doesn't mean that it's going to happen, but it makes you aware that it needs to happen
Yeah. Yeah.
and
Instead
that
of
you
the
need to
to-do
do it.
list, right?
Yeah. To-do lists
Yeah.
don't work for me.
I know they don't work for me either. I've
No,
tried hundreds
no.
of ways of doing it in my computer,
Yeah.
on my paper, both. Sometimes it's like I've even tried like, yeah. So I've started the block one and see if that helps out. But that's working for you then. Just putting
Mm-hmm.
everything on a block and scheduling time to do
Mm-hmm.
that to do.
Yep.
And then that way you get it done and then you can just reschedule if you didn't get it done. But I guess
Yeah.
the most thing is self-care too, is not feeling the pressure of not achieving it, right? That's self-care, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Accepting
Sometimes you have to be
yourself and
okay with the day. You have to be okay.
you have to be okay. You have to stay in the right vibe, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So what are some of the things that that you care about and projects that you care about other than the city? I mean, other than LGBTQ, other than I'm assuming
Um,
that you are very involved in the disability world. Is there anything else, that you care about politically?
yes, right now I'm working with a company called Booster Fuels,
Mm-hmm.
and we are trying really hard to get AB AB 905 passed.
What's the number?
There's
8905?
AB 905. Mm-hmm.
Is that a local initiative or
Yes, local California Assembly. Right now, um,
what is that
uh,
about?
the bill will allow for mobile fueling for drivers with disabilities or people who can't operate at
Yes.
at a regular gas station.
Because you
It's
said you have
something.
limited movement in your hands.
Yes, I do. Yeah.
So that
And
definitely would be an issue.
gassing your car is really dangerous. Like, especially when you're sitting down and you have limited mobility. Like, getting the hose out, putting it in the car, making sure you don't get oil on yourself,
Yes.
and so on and so forth. It is really it's really difficult and unsafe. And older practices, you could go to any gas station that had one or more attendant, and honk your horn and someone would come out. But a lot of places, especially in Southern California, only operate with one attendant.
Right.
Um,
So you're screwed even though there's a
yeah,
law.
we did a little, I guess you could say a little a test
Experiment.
in Burbank. Yeah, experiment in
Oh, I
Burbank
could
where we
do
went to 3
that.
different gas stations, and some of the buttons to request help didn't even work. Some places there were no buttons, and the other ones would work, and you couldn't get anybody to come out sooner than 15, 20 minutes. And I think the thing that really struck me and why I have become so passionate about this particular bill is because people with disabilities have to schedule their life so much already. I have to schedule when I get up. I have to schedule the person to help me get up, the person to help me take a shower, to help me brush my teeth, to get my food ready, to get from point A to point B. That is one more thing that we have to schedule, that it doesn't have to be that way.
So how does it work that you don't have to schedule it?
So mobile boost fuels would come out to your location, and I think it's app based, and they would, at the click of an app, you could have somebody out to gas your car. And
Oh my
that
gosh.
really help a lot of people.
I want to say something about that because as you mentioned how it's unsafe, I have had to do it like maybe twice, and I absolutely did get oil on me or gas. I absolutely did, and I do get very anxious because when you pull the ramp out, the only way to pull the ramp out, because you have to pull out, is to into the actual driveway of the gas station where there's other people, and you can get hit or they can run over your ramp. That's the biggest reason why I don't do it. And the second reason why I don't do it, Jennifer, I have to go and wait for them to come out. I'm the one that honks or calls.
Mm-hmm.
And it's such a high anxiety feeling for me. Like of course, I'm the person that always waits till the last minute, and I'm on my way somewhere important, and I realize, oh shoot, I don't have gas, or I'm somewhere down where I shouldn't be, and I don't have gas, or trust me, this is always my life. So I have had to do everything, like roll down my window, try to get some guy to help me, give him my credit card that I didn't know. And thank God the kindness of strangers have been there for me. I'm very, very blessed. I speak Spanish, so the last time I did it, there was these Cuban guys. We're on a truck, and I was like, "Hola, cómo está? Yo necesito ayuda, por favor." And I'm a little cute. It didn't hurt, but it's not something that they'll do for everybody. They may not trust you. They may not have time. They may blow you off, and I would have been in big trouble because I was in the middle of nowhere in Hialeah. So, but the other thing is the safety, just being a person with a disability out in the middle of nowhere, and you are susceptible to getting your car stolen, robbed, kidnapped. I mean, I have a horrible story. One time I was on Route 27 on the way to my mom's, and I had to pee like really bad. So I got out of the gas station that was along the side of Route 27, which is in the middle of nowhere. And I got my ramp down, ran in, peed, came back out, got back in my van, and there was a man there. Now my ramp was already down, and all he had to do was just jump in that van with me. When the ramp, and I got in, I was really scared. He was luring at me and like standing over me, knowing that I'm like a victim waiting to happen, Jennifer. And I felt that, how you feel that terrible feeling, that heat, that you're in danger. There was nobody around because it was like on the side. The handicap thing was on the side of the building. Nobody was there, Jen. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm trying to get in. I'm trying to go as fast as I can, but there's no way you can make that ramp go faster. It's slowly going up. And he could have just jumped in, grabbed my keys, and taken me wherever he wanted.
Yeah.
And I never forgot that, Jen. And thank you for doing this with Booster. I am thrilled to hear that that's a possibility, because like you said, half the time at night they're not there, or they're like, they don't answer the phone. I've had them answer the phone and hang up. This is a constant problem for me.
Yeah.
So when is it coming to Florida?
I'm not sure, but you'll be the first person to know.
How do I find out? What is the website called, honey?
Booster Fuels. You can find
BOSSTER Fuels. Okay.
Fuels.
All right, I'll put it in the show notes. Anybody's watching.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you so much for doing that.
Yeah, no problem. I think it's also a good reminder for people who don't currently have disabilities that people age and get disabilities. People get into accidents and get into disabilities, and people with disabilities have lives and schedules, and other people to take care of as well. A lot of
absolutely,
children,
So what is your goal as far as that's concerned? So what is your goals for the future? You want to get better, you want to stay in communications, do you want to have a family eventually? Let's talk about the whole single and dating myself. I love that because I'm single again, and I want to hear more about that because I know a lot of people are always feeling like they have to have someone, and I'm not saying I feel that way, but a lot of people feel like they're not, enough alone. And you're basically saying, yeah, I'm good, having fun.
I'm good. How
do you do that? Can we just dial in that a little bit, Jen? Come on, give it to me. Give it to the girl. Just imagine all the ladies and men who are watching you and they want to know about this. So
yeah, I think there's a lot of happiness within ourselves that often goes untapped because we don't take the time to love ourselves the way that we should. So I am just spending a lot of time with myself, doing things that I love to do and nurturing myself, right? Learning my faults and seeing my faults, and seeing my strengths as well. A lot of people with disabilities, when they are in relationships, the other person is often looked upon as like the savior, or something like that. And, sometimes later on down the line in disabilities, the person with the disability is looked at as a burden, when in reality, all we've ever been is honest with what we can and cannot do. So I think putting value on a person's ability to or not to do something is rather shallow. And if it's not something for you, then that's fine. But I'm not willing to be anybody's experiment anymore. I'm too old, so I enjoy my time with my family, with my friends. And besides, like, I work and I go to school. I am an aunt, which satisfies my itch to be a mommy. I have a slew of nieces and nephews that I see on a very regular basis. And I'm happy. I'm happy.
See, that's the thing. I mean, it's as long as you can be happy and you don't feel like you have a lack of something, right? That's the key. Like, oh, I'm missing this one thing, and if I get this one thing, I'll be happy, right? But you can really, what you're saying is that I am taking the time to just to be happy in myself. And if someone just comes waltzing in and he meets you at the same mental, emotional level, are you going to accept it? Or are you going to be like, no, I'm still happy. I'm working on myself.
Mm-hmm.
Well, how's that feel for you?
You have to be enough for yourself before you can ever be enough for anyone else. You know?
Wow. That's awesome. I love that a lot.
Yeah. So I'm 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 learning that I'm enough.
You're
But
finding
I'm
things
happy.
to make you happy. And those things you're discovering as you discover yourself more. So you're just following that little trail of what do just Jennifer like to do.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And obviously, working with companies and helping them to help all of us and getting people elected and seeing the success of that, taking new courses, eating better. What else did you say? You said you were trying to get more focused and more, organized your house more. You're making your house and your environments more beautiful. I would love to see more about that too, about your accessibility stuff. Could you send us some photos that we can add to the article for the podcast of your
Sure.
setup at home and some of the things that you find that you're making beautiful? Because I love your macrame, and I don't know, maybe it'll inspire someone.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. I'm
So
really
what
lucky
about,
to
go ahead.
found an apartment that has no stairs. It barely has a threshold for the door and a roll-in shower. So it came to me at the right moment. I was so happy and I moved on it quick. So I've been here since
Oh,
2014 and I like it.
that's
Yeah.
fantastic. That's probably the next, once we get Booster going, because that's huge. I think, well, simultaneously, obviously, the housing issue is just ridiculous for
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
I tried to
It's
get a place out in Denver, and there was nothing accessible. Like they even had new buildings, and the accessible units weren't had washer and dryers that were stacked. I was like, this is great, but and then they have like this big bar in the middle and no view, and it's just, come on, guys, you have a whole new high-rise building, and there's only like one accessible unit in each floor, and it's the worst unit
yeah.
with the big bar like in the middle of the view and on
Mhm.
the side, not the good view, and
Mhm.
it wasn't really even accessible. I mean,
Yeah.
I'd have to do laundry. I do need the one up there. How am I going to get it? We'd
Yeah.
have to break
I
down
think
walls and stuff.
yeah. I think once people and like legislators, people who build our homes and legislators who allow them to realize that some people need to age in place. Like this
Yeah,
might be the only apartment that I ever live in. That might
right,
be the only apartment, somebody else in a wheelchair, or only home somebody else in a wheelchair buys. The only one.
right.
So I feel like designing universally
Yes.
and really acknowledging the fact that someone will need to age in this home is will be amazing. It would be monumental.
Yeah, we need to work on that, Jen. I mean, I'm with you on that. That really fires me up, girl. I tell you, a design, and like you said, like you were young, so you're 30 years, so you were still in elementary school when the ADA was passed.
I was 10 years old.
So you don't know what it's like to be those of us who weren't, your age group, how we experienced life. Like I went to college before the ADA, and there was no bathrooms.
Mm-hmm.
I had to go back to the dorm room to pee, and trust me, I didn't
Mm-hmm.
make it a lot because I was
Mm-hmm.
nearly disabled, and it was a pretty traumatic experience. I had to be carried into bathrooms and bars and restaurants when I was out with the other kids in college, carried into the bathroom to pee, put on the toilet. Oh, I mean, come on.
Yeah. How dehumanizing is that?
Well, I
And
mean,
like, yeah, I mean, I do remember my parents having to take me on field trips because there were no
accessible
budgets for
buses.
accessible buses. I remember being in band and having to sit out a concert because they ended up not having a ramp to the stage. Um, Different things. I remember my dad carrying me all around Disneyland because it wasn't accessible then.
Wow. So you do remember this. So even though
I
we
do
had the
remember
ADA,
speaking.
they
Yeah.
had 2 years to implement it. And then, okay, but guess what? They're still not implementing it. Like we're still, when you said about the stage, I was thinking about the Emmys, right? Wasn't it
Yeah.
the Emmys where the guy couldn't get up on the stage and he was winning the award and they knew it in advance?
I think it was the Tonys.
It was at the Tony.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I think it was the
And
Emmys
like,
too. I think
really?
the Tonys was the girl and the Emmys was the guy, I think.
Mhm.
Well, we'll have to put that in the show notes so I don't screw that up. But yeah, anyway. So this issue of accessibility and inclusive design is huge for me. So if you ever want to work with me on that, let's do it, girl.
Absolutely.
I mean, because
Absolutely.
you have a fundraising background, you have a political consulting background. I know that companies like United Spinal are always doing the roll on Capitol Hill, and maybe we can get together with them because I that's kind of tragic that it's so difficult for us to find an apartment or a
Mhm.
house, or if you can't afford a house and just an apartment that's affordable that we can actually use. That's not right. Just make them
Yeah.
all universal, especially if they're brand new. I don't understand. Like it
Yeah.
looked like the same freaking replace just how ADA and inclusive design is beautiful, right?
Yeah. I think the problem with the ADA is there's no budget for oversight. So
Mm,
it's complaint driven, right?
right.
Um,
And then there's no way that we're the only law, tell me if I'm wrong, Miss
mhm.
Political Person, but I think we're the only law that doesn't have punitive or compensatory damages. Punitive damages mean you're a very bad bar for not making accessible. Compensatory damages are I need to be compensated because your very bad bar that wasn't accessible. I had to pee my pants and I now am traumatized, and that's compensatory. That's
Oh,
just an example.
I think people actually have, had litigations between
But there's
owners
no
of companies.
compensatory damages in the and not they wouldn't be able to win that under the ADA. They could get them to change it under
Mhm.
the ADA. They'd have to make it right, but they
Mhm.
couldn't get punitively sanctioned, like
Mhm.
you were very bad or compensatorily sanctioned. I went to Amtrak once to pick up my son, and there was no accessible bathrooms at the Amtrak station. It was awful. Like I was like, oh my
Yeah,
god, I'm gonna die.
so terrible.
It's just traumatizing to us, right? I mean, you
Yeah.
expect it at the Amtrak station. Like I don't
Yeah.
know if I'm traveling to different countries. I mean, I don't expect it necessarily, but
Mhm.
Amtrak is government funded, etc. But anyway, it was traumatic.
Yeah.
So I guess the point is that inclusive design is something we should really push. And we have the law, but have you ever noticed that? I don't know how it is in Long Beach, and I'm kind of going over time almost, but you got me on a tangent. Oh, have you noticed that even though we can get in the restaurants and the bars now, that or even like the public events, like you go to an art festival or an outdoor, everything now has the high tops. Even like conferences, I bet you go to them all the time, like business conferences or
Yeah.
networking conferences. Everything's like these high top tables, and you can't join in.
Yeah. Yeah. My city ran events, and I worked on the team that elected the first Latina in a wheelchair in California, and I'm pretty sure in the nation. So she's now my council member. And I think because of myself and her being, well, especially her being elected was monumental, but I think people are more aware because we're in their lives, right?
Right.
And that includes our mayor and his staff, and the extension of the city staff, and so on and so forth. So I think we're really, really lucky to live in a place that really, really does try, for the most part, to provide equitable access to public events, public spaces, and so on. And when I did go to Europe, it was different. It was really different. Access was different. I remember in Paris, I would call, and I'm pretty sure you do this too a lot when you travel. I would call all the time, are you sure it's wheelchair accessible room? And they're like,
Mm-hmm.
yes. But we got there, Deborah, and there was a step to get into the hotel.
And you have an electric chair, I'm
Oh,
assuming.
yeah, yeah. So luckily I
Oh, the
could do it.
hotel. Oh
Yeah.
God, they should have
So luckily
known.
I could do it. But it was a little bit different to be in a place where my needs weren't seen as being important enough to be incorporated in, the things and the places that built up a city and a location.
Yeah,
So it was very different. And I really thought about people that live in other countries with disabilities.
exactly.
Like, how is it for them,
Yeah. And in Paris, I mean, if you think about it, I mean, obviously Paris has just as many disabled people as Long Beach or Miami or Fort Lauderdale, where I'm at. But yeah, I went to Paris and it was the most traumatic experience. And I've traveled so many places. I've been, to Korea, I've been to South Africa. I have never been more traumatized than I was in Paris. I literally didn't think it was possible for me to feel like really like I shut down
Mm-hmm.
and I couldn't even speak because it was so bad. And it
Yeah.
was like, I'm at the point where I'm like, I can't get a bus, and they're telling me the bus is accessible, and I moved to another one. I tell me this one's broken, and that subway's broken. I couldn't get in, and I'm like, I got stuck in an elevator, and it was just so many things after one after another that I just shut down at the end of the day, and I couldn't go back out the next day because I couldn't go through it again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It was horrible.
I think there was a point in the trip where I just decided to stay within rolling distance because, I didn't want to wait for a taxi, or I didn't want to,
Aww.
like that. And luckily, like we stayed in a really like high traffic area with lots of things to do, but I know exactly how you feel. I know
So
exactly
what do
how.
you feel about that? Because something's reminding me. Did you feel that when you're in situations like what Booster's helping us with, like when you're in situations where you need something, and you grew up with a disability, so it's like I don't know if it's any different, but the kindness of strangers, when people do come through,
Mhm.
and it's like being a disabled person, I guess that you feel that more and you experience that probably more in everyday life, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I do. Um, I was out with some friends the other day, and I know my neighbors. I know my neighbors across my city. And she said to me, she's like, "How come you know everybody? You're like Mr. Rogers." And I was like, I know everybody because I talk to everybody and everybody talks to me. I consider myself very lucky to live in a community where if I needed help, I feel comfortable asking for help, or
Oh,
somebody might beat me to the punch and help me before I even realize I need help.
that's
Um,
fantastic.
and I've been in situations where it hasn't been like that.
No.
And it's scary. It's
Yeah.
really scary.
It's scary. It's very scary. And I'm thinking, gosh, you feels like you live in Disneyland.
Yeah,
Even though you live in, Riverside, you call it?
Long Beach.
I'm sorry, Long Beach, sorry. But I
Mhm,
mean,
yeah.
imagine like if you live in New York City or Paris and it's, where people literally are so rude to you. They were like, I went to a subway and I always have to go to the bathroom, right? It's a whole story about the bathroom. So I was in the subway and I was like, where's the accessible bathroom? And she just looked at me. She says, we don't have any. I was like, it's the subway, like at Galt
Yeah.
Station, and and I'm like, that's not possible. And then finally, someone goes, well, it's down there, and then I had to go all the way down there. Nobody would help me exactly where down there was. Go downstairs. Yeah, there's no.
Yeah.
It was,
Yeah.
and the rudeness and the meanness, but it sounds like where you are, it's so, and of course, there's something to do with you and your personality because you're very likable.
Thank you. Thank
You have
you.
that
Yeah, I
personality.
think I try to like kill those kinds of attitudes with kindness.
That's a very good
Or I
way.
thank them for being completely useless. I mean,
Yeah. I think
that
that's a
sounds
really good
rude, but
point. That's a great point because you know, we can't allow other people's meanness, rudeness, inconsideration for us to affect our well-being,
yeah.
to affect our happiness and our state of mind. Because,
Mhm.
listen, there's always going to be those people who just are just mean. We
Yeah.
don't know if we're dealing with a sociopath or we're dealing with someone who just, is just hates everybody or just hates
Mhm.
themselves so much and they're going
And
to
people
throw that
have
all
bad
on
days
you.
too, people have bad days. And sometimes you coming around and being kind kind of shifts them back, or, gets them back
Yeah,
or whatever. And I mean, it
love
happens.
that.
It happens, but yeah.
Love that. So what final advice would you give to people? Because it sounds like you're very well on your way, emotionally, physically in your environment. You've got it all handled. Career wise, you've got it handled. You're going back to school. You know what you want to do. You're working with other companies that like Booster who are helping us.
Mhm.
What would you recommend as some life tips to people who are still trying to find their passion, still trying to help with their self esteem? Um, you know, loving themselves, what would you say? What would you recommend to get themselves on a better road?
To echo the sentiments of my favorite drag queen, RuPaul. And I think she says something to the effect of, if you don't love yourself, how the hell is anybody else gonna? So you need to do what it is you need to do to be comfortable in your skin. That might mean, spending more time with yourself. Sometimes it means finding new friends who lift you up and put you in spaces of happiness and set you up for success. You need to do things that make you smile, and realize that finding happiness in someone else before you find happiness with yourself is not possible.
Oh my God, Jen, I'm so inspired. You've almost made me cry twice. I'm trying not to cry, but that was a good one. Honestly, that was like, I'm tearing up here. That was really beautiful. I love you.
I love you too.
Thank you so much for having me. Oh, what is your Instagram, by the way? I was asking you that before.
Oh, my Instagram is at KumiRocks, KumiRocks.
Oh,
KumiRocks.
KumiRocks, KumiRocks. And it will be in the show notes, so everybody can just go to the show notes, and we'll put links to everything in there. Is there anything else you want to mention, or anybody you want to give a shout out to before we go?
No, I know my boss will probably watch this. So hi, Melahat. I love you.
I love you too. Thanks for giving her a chance to change the world, because she certainly is. I really look forward to meeting you sometime in person. I hope we can do something together, but this was a pleasure. Absolute pleasure. I love it. So thank you again. All right. Bye, love.
Bye.
Take care.
From outdoor adventures to indoor activities, the Will Model C will complement your every move with superb stability and durability, easy disassembly, and tight turn capability. The Will Model C personal electric vehicle can help you live the life you aspire to. To learn more and find your perfect match, visit www.will.us.